Hey guys, so today I'm going to be installing the ZL1 Addons Front Splitter for the Mustang with the Performance Pack. So this is really hard to find because like American Muscle only has front splitters for the regular front splitter. So with the Performance Pack it comes out a little bit more right here, and there's a different belly pan underneath. But here it is. I ended up going with the front splitter with the fender extenders. So what it normally comes with is just the front splitter right here with the hardware, but mine came with this extra fender extender right here, which is going to go on this edge right there. Right now I'm just going to show you what we need to do. Since I have to be drilling underneath in the front, I'm going to go ahead and lift up the car. Alright, so after we got the car jacked up, I got enough room so I can get under here with the drill and do all the stuff. Let's go over what we actually need. So what they don't mention in the listing on ZL1 Addons is you need a rivet nut gun. Usually they give you an option to get one, but in this case they did not tell me. I already have one, but you will need it if you don't already have one, and they do sell it online. So underneath here, these two screws right here and here, and then there's going to be the same thing on the other side as well. Those two screws you're going to take out, and you're going to go into the holes right here and right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to screw the whole thing on with those 4 screws first, and then we're going to trace the holes onto the belly pan and all the other ones, and then we're going to drill out those holes. So let's take out those 4 screws and line it up. Here are the 2 screws. All right, this is a 9/32 screw because America. And just do the same thing on the other side. All right, so since we're going to have to be tracing through these holes, we have to keep the protective liner on, so I'm going to poke through the holes so we could use the silver Sharpie to mark onto the belly pan. So now it's time to set this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it on this little box just to give me a few extra inches. I'm just going to put this first one on over here. So this is the far outside one, and it's going to go in the far outside slot. Get it going a little bit. Alright, I can let that go. We're gonna go to this side and do the same. Alright, so since the only 2 mounting points we have are the 2 on the outside right here, we're going to have to support the middle. So I'm gonna use these wheel chocks. It's just kind of a little middle support right here. These side screws aren't very strong because majority of this splitter is going to be held up with rivet nuts. It's gonna be this one right here. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Next step we're gonna do is I'm gonna go on each of these holes on the bottom right here. I'm gonna get this silver Sharpie and I'm gonna be marking onto this piece of plastic right here. So I have now marked all of the holes. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off those 4 screws that we mounted it with, and then we're going to drill out some 3/8 inch holes where we mark those, and that's where all of these rivet nuts are going to go. Alright, so we got off the splitter from these screws that we installed originally. Now you can see we have clearly marked silver dots of where we need to drill out the holes to put the rivet nuts. Alright, so for this next step we're going to be preparing the rivet nuts. So we're going to use a drill and a 3/8 inch drill bit because it needs to cover this whole sheath right here of the rivet nut. What these rivet nuts basically are is it's a rivet with a bolt in it. So this little sheath is going to screw on to the 1/4-20 adapter on the rivet nut, and it is going to pull the end of the rivet nut in, which is going to mushroom out this perforated side, which is going to pull on the inside of the plastic right there. So in the next part, we got to be very careful because as you see, some pieces right here are very close to the edge. So whenever we drill, We have to go very slow because you don't want to poke through the other side because that will ruin this splitter right here. What I like about these rivets is the holes are a lot bigger than the screws, so you have a couple fractions of an inch of wiggle room in case you need it, which is great about ZL1 Addons does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this drill bit on this little hole right here. Just ever so slowly, just start eating away. Alright, we go very slow like that. We have a clean hole. We're going to do the same thing for all 12 holes. Not sure how many, but yeah, we're just going to go through all of those little holes that we just did and drill them out. Just being very careful and slow like I just did, not letting the bit travel up and go into the hole. Alright, so I'm done drilling all of these holes, and I can't emphasize this enough. Go very slow and just creep in at a very crawling pace, and then when you feel it grab, pull out so it doesn't come through the top, because that will ruin it. So here are all the rib nuts. So what we're going to be doing is taking apart the actual rivet part, and that is going to be going in these 3/8 inch holes, which is a very tight fit. I'm going to be on the end of the riv gun, and then I'll show you how to squeeze it on. I have screwed on the rivet to the butt end of the riv gun, so the nut is all the way through. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get this rivet, push it through the holes we drilled all the way to the end of this right here. And then we're going to squeeze until you can't anymore, but not too much because you'll break the rivet. And then what you'll do is you'll unscrew the tool from it, and we're just going to do that the rest of the time. I'm going to push the rivet into this hole. Alright, so we now have it pushed in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pull on the riv nut gun. We're now wrinkling the inside of the rivet, squeezing it into place. Now you don't want to over tighten it, so that feels good to me. So now we're going to unscrew it. Alright, and we're just going to do that same thing with all of the holes we just drilled. And remember, don't over tighten it because it will break. Alright, so we now have all of the riv nuts into place, and we're going to first install the 2 screws on each side that we used first to mount on, and then we're going to just hand tighten all of the other screws just to get them in position, and then we'll tighten from the middle out so it's even. It's time to actually take off the protective wrap. Alright, so we finished installing the 4 screws on the outside. Now we're just hand tightening all of the bolts that it came with, going from the middle out, and then we're going to go tighten these, then we're going to tighten the outside, and that's it. Alright, that's everything. So we just installed all the bolts, and you have about like 2 extra rib nuts with it just in case. But fitment wise, it looks pretty good. I mean, you can kind of see the rib nuts on the bottom, but you have to be like pretty horizontal. So I'd say for the most part it's good because this will be low anyway. But I like this better than the Performance Pack 2 because Performance Pack 2 stops about right here. This goes like a lot further. But yeah, this looks pretty nice. And the only thing left to do is the fender extenders on the side, but there's ZL1 Addons already has a video out for that, so and that'll be a better explanation than I can do. So if you have this kit, just watch that video as well. But I'm gonna do those later because it takes time to dry epoxy. But other than that, this is it.